Power Punchers, we are live with Bill's Mafia, D-Style Boxing. Bill's Mafia in the house. What's going on?
It's the Power Hour of Boxing Talk, HCP Prime Time. Shout out to Mano a Mano with Maestro and Kenny T. Great show. And we're just following up the 1-2 punch. That's what it is. You know what I mean? Pop, pop. You know, so let's just get it started. It's Power Punch.
It's the Power Hour, too sweet to be sour. And we already got people in the house. Raw Boxing TV. Shout out to him. Shout out to Mad Dog 8. Shout out to Steven 4722, Chicano Prophet in the house. And we also got Toby Bartlett in the house. What's going on to everybody out there? Y'all make sure to, first and foremost, hit that like button. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Let's get this thing popping, man. We were live for the first time in a while last week, and we're approaching 500 views in the archive. So successful show last week, and we're going to follow that off by a successful show this week. William Boxing in the house. Salute HCP. HCP is war. Y'all hit that like button, and y'all also get those boxing gloves in the chat as well. Salute to the Don, who is also in the chat.
That's right.
Let's start this off.
And shout out to the audio audience, by the way, like Stitcher, Amazon Music, Spotify, all that good stuff. A lot of listeners there, so shout out to them as well. You matter too.
We're everywhere. We're ninjas, like Bruce Lee.
Except Antarctica. We don't got no signal over there, so you're going to freeze to death. You're not going to get any power punches.
Who's your power puncher of the week? In D-Style, there is only one correct answer for this. There's only one power puncher of the week. We all know who it is. You better not blaspheme here. Who is the power puncher of the week?
The power puncher of the week. You know what the power puncher of the week is?
Who's that?
Come on, man. Senisa Estrada's a power puncher of the week. What a knockout. That was a beautiful knockout. Yes. Okay? With a cool braid. You know what I mean? Like, dude, not one hair was sticking out of her braid after that fight. Not one. Just think about that, okay? I'm just saying.
Good choice. Good choice, but not the correct choice. We know the power puncher of the week is none other than the great white hope, Jake Paul. Jake Paul in the building with the humongous KO of Tyrone Woodley. And what your boy said, he put the wood in Woodley. Pause. Dude. But what a knockout that was. And it leads me to my question here. Let's just start off with Jake Paul, because I've been ignoring the elephant in the room since this all started. I've always said I'm not interested in this at all. Circus act, all that stuff. But he's given us now multiple entertaining highlight reel knockouts. And this is the best of them all so far. So in order to be able to have that type of punch placement, and look, I understand he's not fighting boxers, right?
Right.
And there's a big step up there. But we all know if you're not hitting a heavy bag, it's hard to set up punches. And it's hard to set up punches like that. Even if you're fighting a guy who has zero boxing wins. So here's my question. How much boxing ability does this guy have? And my follow-up question is, do you think he's going to box a boxer next?
I don't think he is. And I think he's found himself a very good niche, is what he's found. Mm-hmm. I think Jake Paul's a little smarter than people give him credit for. He saw an opportunity with these MMA fighters that are known. People know about them, right? And they know them, and they're known as fighters, right? Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, a lot of casuals can't really distinguish the difference between a guy with good hands in the UFC and a professional prize fighter, like a high-level one like a Canelo. They can't really tell a difference, right? There was a couple years ago that UFC fans were talking about Woodley versus Canelo. I mean, let's not forget about that, right?
Correct.
So he saw that. He tapped into it, and that's what he's doing right now. He called out Masvidal. He called out Nate Diaz. Usman, wanted to have a big clash with Canelo, right? We might see Usman versus Jake Paul, and I think that fight does a lot of pay-per-view buys.
So whether people like it or not, be the dog chasing his tail type of thing, to where we're going to continue to get this and get this and get this until people just stop watching. which it doesn't look like is going to happen. I mean, he's entertaining a lot of people who don't know boxing.
That knockout, if that knockout doesn't happen, it goes to like a boring decision. I think his run's done, to be honest with you. As crazy as that sounds, right? But that knockout has gone viral. That knockout is probably whether, and I know a lot of boxing fans are going to get mad at this. I'm not saying it's right. That's probably the most watched knockout this year.
Yeah.
Like on social media, on the internet, the most, like with eyeballs, meaning when you add it all up, all over social media, that shit went viral, bro. Okay. So I don't think he's found his niche, and it's going to take an MMA fighter to take him out, in my opinion. And when he finally does step up, best believe he ain't going to go. I mean, come on. He's not going to go fight Canelo or some shit. Canelo's not even going to entertain him, to be honest. Right. So like, he just isn't. So he might fight a Chavez Jr. He might fight like somebody
that the boxing world deserves is Jake Paul versus Chavez Jr. Chavez Jr. can totally redeem himself with his family by winning a big fight
or embarrass the legend by losing to Jake Paul. He will get disowned. I believe that.
I don't know.
And we might still get that Tommy Fury fight. It might still happen.
I think so.
And I know a lot of people like they're sold by Jake. Look, man, let's wait and see. You know what I mean? Yeah. Woodley isn't exactly the best striker in the world. He's not. Okay. A good boxer sees that punch coming. Any good, decent fighter knows, always feinting to make you drop the hand and catch me with the right. Like, it's pretty elementary stuff for the high level guys.
Mm-hmm.
Still impressive for a former YouTuber to be pulling that off, but don't get me wrong, right? But for a high level dude, like, they're gonna see that coming, bro. Like, you know what I mean? He tries that with Canelo. Like, Canelo's gonna be like waving at his wife. You know what I mean? It's gonna be like, Canelo's gonna be able to do a million things. You know, have a sandwich, soda. You know what I mean? And then still slip the punch. You know, like he'll see it coming. You know, but for Jake Paul, he didn't see it coming. So shout out to Jake Paul, man. You know, I agree with you that's knockout of the year candidate for sure, whether people like it or not. It's a knockout of the year candidate.
It is. And to answer my questions, I don't think he's going to fight a boxer. I agree with you there, but I do think he has some boxing ability. I don't know how much. We can't tell until he faces an actual boxer. Hopefully that happens. So that question is going to go unanswered until he faces an actual boxer. Now, to speak about actual boxers, Zurdo Ramirez this past weekend. What do you make of Zurdo all of a sudden turning from Zurdo, putting us all to sleep for so many years on his way to victories, to all of a sudden having an entertaining 2021? He's becoming an entertaining fighter. Is he doing this purposefully, fighting with a more entertaining style? Or is he just fighting guys who are forcing him to face a more to have a more entertaining style? I wouldn't call it being exposed, but maybe possibly
right
as he goes up, he's going to look more flawed.
Well, first of all, his opponent, Gonzalez, is nowhere near as bad, I think, as people are making him out to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Now, he did lose to Shabransky. Okay, so I mean, that's questionable to me, but... You know, I mean, he's a Cuban fighter. He fought, I don't know if you noticed, fights a lot like Ugas. Mm-hmm. He's like a poor man's but bigger version of Ugas. You know what I mean? And so it was interesting. But you know what happened? I don't think it's Zurdo trying to like, I want to entertain the fans. I've never bought into all that nonsense. I could see a fighter saying to himself, I want to get more aggressive. I want to go for the knockouts. And in doing that, they become a little more vulnerable, get hit more, right? I believe in that. But there's no such thing as, I'm just going to trade with this dude just for the sake of trading. Because I want to entertain the fans like that. You know, not really. But, I think he was blitzed early. I think he was caught off guard. I think he expected this Cuban fighter to come out in a feel out round, you know, and you know, kind of get the flow going a little bit, and he was caught off guard. And I think this is a message to every underdog out there. Just go for it. Like, ding, ding. What do you got to lose? You know what I mean? You know how many times I saw dudes that had no shot in outboxing Mayweather, like go out there, have the feel out round, and then they just get outboxed for 12 rounds, and then like they're confused by the end of the fight. You're gonna lose anyway. Do
Yeah.
what McDonough did, right? Just go out there, and that's what Gonzalez did. He came out, he was aggressive, and it kind of caught Zurdo off guard. Like that's honestly what happened. It took Zurdo about 2-3 rounds to get going, but once he got going, I think the fight became pretty one-sided. To be honest with you, outside of a couple, right hands landed by Gonzalez, Zurdo I think was doing a good job, kind of stepping to the side, landing body shots, countered upstairs, and then if anything, when he would find success, since he was going for the kill, something you mentioned, right? He used to be Zurdo, right? Old Zurdo would have popped him with a 1-2, and then he would have backed up and then kept circling him. This Zurdo tried to go for the finish, and he paid the price for it. That happens, right? And he got popped a couple times, when ironically when he found success, but hey, typical Zurdo though, you know what I mean? I didn't like his post fight.
We never do. I'd like to ask the chat this too. Do you think we'll see Zurdo versus Bivol next? Do you think we'll see that fight? And how do you see that fight playing out? Because Bivol hasn't impressed me, to be honest. I think people are being a little too high on him, but it could possibly be Bivol is fighting down to his level of competition.
Could be.
He could fight up for Zurdo. I would still pick Bivol over Zurdo. But after watching these last two fights, do you give Zurdo a chance, or do you think Zurdo can beat Bivol?
I think either one can beat the other. Let me make that clear. But I agree with you. I would favor Bivol in a fight. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, I think Zurdo can box enough, and I can say in Mexico, but at the same time, fajarse. Like, he can force exchanges in there and force Bivol in a fight, which I've been waiting for somebody to do, by the way. Yeah. Like, no one has successfully forced this dude to grit his teeth and like really go at it. Like, nobody's done that yet. Bivol, and to Bivol's credit, has been able to just outbox his way to victories. Okay. And that's what he does. That's his style. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, Zurdo has to box enough to keep him in the pocket, but find a way to force him in exchanges, force him force it to be like somewhat of a hybrid of a boxing fight and back alley brawl a little bit, And if he successfully does that, I think we have a good fight in our hands. And I don't think it's an easy night for Bivol. And I do think Zurdo will pull that off, by the way. I do. Because, he hasn't impressed me lately. Like, period. So I think Zurdo's got it.
You take Zurdo over Bivol.
No. I think he's got it in terms of being able to force Bivol in that type of fight. You know what I mean? And you know what? I think Bivol needs that too. He needs that experience. Like, he needs to experience someone that forces him to like fight back and get on his front foot, force his opponent back. Like, he kind of needs that, because how the hell is he going to beat Beterbiev or Canelo or somebody if he doesn't have that experience? Like, this is a perfect fight for both guys, by the way, to experience in order to fight that next level opponent. Right? Yeah. If I'm Zurdo or Bivol, I fight each other first before I get to fucking Beterbiev or Canelo any day.
Yeah, and I was listening to Maestro on Mano a Mano earlier, and he brought up a good point. He's like a guy who's been stuck in first or second gear. He hasn't really had, I would say, the drive to get into maybe third, fourth, fifth gear. So maybe he's one of those guys who needs that competition level to go up in order to push him into those next levels. There are guys out there like that, right? They fight down to the competition. They fight up to their competition.
Right.
So you want to see them step up, and we'll find out once he steps up and fights Zurdo, because that's a guy, like you said, who will make him fight and get into at least third gear. We know that for sure. I don't think he beats him in first or second gear. But I've been impressed with Zurdo as far as...
You didn't see third gear in this fight with Gonzalez? You didn't see third gear? I think we saw third gear. I think he picked it up.
No, I'm talking about with Bivol.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood. I got you.
But with I definitely agree with you with Zurdo. He's definitely had to push it against these last two guys he's fought in 2021, which can be troubling. But as a boxing fan, I enjoy it because I don't mind guys losing as long as they're entertaining to give me the entertainment
Yeah,
value. I've never been high on Zurdo. So I've seen him right there on the fringe since he moved up to 175, on that fringe of the top 5, somewhere around there. I've never seen him as a guy who can take over 175. So if he loses fights, that's fine with me as long as it's entertaining. I've enjoyed the
I
entertainment value
agree.
he's given us.
Look, I appreciate guys that get out of their comfort level, right, to try to do something different. And I saw that with 2 guys this weekend. I saw it with Zurdo, right? Now, you could argue that the way Gonzalez started that fight, he almost left Zurdo no choice, right? But he got out of his comfort level, right, and had to fight before he started boxing the dude. Like he couldn't just box his way out of what Gonzalez brought at him, right? It was like, whoa, like that early shock. Like he didn't even get to warm up. And I also saw it with Joseph Parker. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Joseph Parker got out of his comfort zone. He could have just outboxed Chisora, but you know what? He tried to get the knockout, and I commend him for that. I do. He was landing some big right hands, uppercuts, 09. So I like guys that go out of their comfort level. With that said, I think what Zurdo needs is a personality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he needs, like, dude, the guy's like this. Yes. I'm translating for him. Okay. Great performance. And Viva Mexico.
The cowboy hat's not enough for you?
That's what he said. He's like, yeah. Viva Mexico.
Need more fire, huh?
You need more fire, bro. Like, what do you mean? Viva Mexico, man. Like what the fuck?
He's Tim Duncan. He's Tim Duncan, is what
He is Tim Duncan, actually. And didn't they fight in San Antonio?
Yeah. He's Tim Duncan.
He's Tim Duncan.
It's a great analogy. Now let's get on to, we're still sticking with 175. Let's get on with the boogeyman of the division. Beterbiev, however you want to pronounce it. 17-0, 17 KOs.
Beterbiev.
This was a hell of a fight. Marcus Browne, I actually had him up after 3 or 4 rounds against Beterbiev. He boxed well early. He used his headbutt that 1-2-5 combination where he throws a couple of shots and then goes in with the head. So he gave Beterbiev some things to look at early, but Jimmy Tobin, a great writer who's with the boxing BWAA, Boxing Writers Association of America, he brought up a good tweet. He said Beterbiev is a type of guy who, if you're watching him, if you're judging him as another fighter, his peers may look at him and say, oh, he doesn't look that great. He doesn't fly off the charts through the TV. But if you're in the ring with him and he starts to hit you and he's so heavy-handed, you'll think otherwise when you're actually in the ring with him. It's probably much different when you're actually on the other side of it, facing the guy in the ring. He seems to be that type of guy to me. I'm impressed. I think he's the boogeyman we need between 160 and 175. I've been saying for a while, I don't see anybody between 160 and 175 who's really cornering Canelo and saying, okay, that's the guy he needs to fight. But if Beterbiev continues to put together performances like this, I'd like to see him more active. I'd like to see him fight 3 times a year, something like that. We probably will not get it. But if he continues to mow guys down, he could be the guy we're looking at for Canelo, that big foe that we're looking at light heavyweight. What did you think? Are you that impressed with him?
Look, I get it. Okay. He's big, he's bad, he's strong. You know what I mean? Like he's a strong dude. He could box. Don't get it twisted. You know, offensively especially, he could really box.
Mm-hmm. He's
got really good power. In fact, you know, there's an old saying in boxing: some guys are just born with power. He's one of those. Nobody taught this guy how to land heavy shot. He's just a heavy puncher, right? Because even his arm punches hurt. Like he snaps dudes' heads back with his arm punches. Yeah. Okay, that's impressive, dude. Now I get it. Good pressure. He's good at applying pressure. He's solid. You know, all around solid. He could cut off the ring, but come on, you know.
You don't get
he's gonna kill. He's gonna kill Canelo. He's gonna kill him. Like really, like he's gonna kill him.
We'll get to
Like,
that in a minute. But what do you
sure.
think as far as the picture at 175? So I'll ask you these two questions.
Okay.
Is he the best at 175 without Canelo in the picture as of right?
Yes.
For right now, we'll keep Canelo out because we'll get to that.
100%.
He's 100% the best at 175. Do you think he's better than Prime Kovalev?
No.
Like, who would you pick between Beterbiev right now and
Prime Kovalev,
Prime
because
Kovalev?
Prime Kovalev had a fucking jab. That's a killer jab. And I'm telling you right now, it would be hard for Kovalev to get around that jab. Now, Kovalev's got a good jab himself, when it lands, but he's real slow at bringing it back. Like Kovalev had like a power jab, like a powerful one. You know what I mean? And he would bring it back beautifully. And I don't think I would give Beterbiev, okay, I would give him a shot, but
The body punching might have got to Kovalev, though. I'm just saying.
I mean, maybe, but he's going to have to get to the body, and he's going to have to get through Kovalev. Kovalev could crack, too.
Yeah, he could.
I mean, I'll be honest, like when Canelo fought Kovalev around that time, I don't know if he beats him now, right? But I'm talking about like Kovalev post Andre Ward. I don't know if he beats him. Sorry.
Post Andre Ward, I think he beats him.
Maybe.
I think he would have gotten to the body, and the blueprint was there at that time. As far as this guy is weak at the body, that's where we get him.
Yeah, but it's a different type of body attack.
Before, I probably pick Kovalev,
right?
though.
Like, Beterbiev needs to get on the inside, get against the ropes, kind of sit on the punch, get elbow down and boom, like hit that body. That's what he needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
Andre Ward was different. Like he had the jab to the body, the straight to the body, and there were quick sniping shots. So it was a different type of body attack. I will say that.
True. Yeah. So I would pick Beterbiev as my number one guy right now at the weight class.
He's good. He's not Thor. Like people talking about it like he's Thor with Thor's hammer or something. Like that's not what he is, but he's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And the division can become clear quick. Bivol is going to fight maybe Zurdo, and then Joe Smith Jr. sitting there with the WBO, and the Beterbiev is sitting there with the IBF and WBC. So these are makeable fights. These fights that should happen. But let's throw Canelo in the mix now. Okay? So let's throw the Canelo Pledge out there. What is the Canelo Pledge?
So right now, the dude is Kovalev. I'm sorry, Beterbiev, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Calix, I don't know if you know this, but Beterbiev was the same fighter to me before the Marcus Browne fight than right after the Marcus Browne fight. Right. I already knew it. Like, that's why I had him beating Marcus Browne by knockout. 9th round. I picked 9th round, believe it or not. Okay? So it didn't surprise me that he beat up Marcus Browne. No offense to Marcus Browne, but there is levels to this. And
right.
Beterbiev just a level notch above him. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But now, dudes that never talked about Beterbiev are now talking about him nonstop. Canelo's ducking him. Like, whoa, he just fought on Friday and he's ducking him on Saturday? What's going on over here? He ain't going to fight this dude. You know what? I don't blame Canelo for fighting him. He will kill Canelo. Like, come on, okay? So, but then I hear other fans. Like, I just started to listen to Canelo, guys that don't like Canelo. I just started to listen to them. They don't all agree, Calix.
No.
Like, they don't. Like, there's no, like, one uniform Canelo hater type, right? There's different types, right? There's the ones that think Beterbiev is that dude, right? And there's some that think he's tailor-made for Canelo. Of course Canelo's going to fight him. He's tailor-made for him. He comes forward. He doesn't move around like Lara. You know what I mean? He comes, and that's what Canelo wants you to do. Bivol. Some dudes think Bivol's move. Oh, the movement. Oh, watch out with the movement. Like they think the movement of Bivol's like going to give Canelo all types of problems, right? He's a mover. Okay, by the way, 1-800 Bivol movers. He'll do like that. Dude does a nice job moving your shit, whether it's across the street or across town or across state lines. He's a mover of movers. Okay. In fact, Lara should start a moving company. I think he did pretty good, actually. Okay.
Yeah.
He'll be like, oh, yeah, you see me moving that Canelo fight? That's how quick I'll move your shit around. You know what I mean? But so Bivol he's a mover, he's great. And then you have other guys saying, oh, come on, that'll be a cherry pick. He's a Euro bum. Of course, Canelo's gonna fight another European, right? And then you have the Charlo fans. Oh, Charlo, he's the one to fight. Canelo's he's avoiding that type of fighter. You know what I mean? That's what he's doing. And then other guys are going to say it was a cherry pick. Oh, come on, that dude will be a cherry pick. Who the fuck is Jamal Charlo fought? You know, to get that Canelo fight or prepare him for a Canelo fight. Of course, Canelo would fight him, right? Same thing with Andrade. You could do the same thing with Triple G. Oh, Triple G, he doesn't want that third fight. He's fearing. He's running for the hills. He wants no piece of Triple G, and everybody else is like, yo, Triple G's old. Triple G is like, he's a great grandfather already. He's old, bro. Like, that's how old he is. I'll bet money he's a great grandfather by now. You know what I mean? And then you got Zurdo. Some people think Zurdo's a shit. Some don't. Benavidez. Some think, oh, Benavidez will give Canelo all types of problems. Oh, come on. He's tailor-made for Canelo. So there is no uniformity here, dude. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm hearing like 7, 8 different fighters being thrown out there that Canelo should fight next. And all of these people, like, don't even like all of these other fighters. Like, Beterbiev fans think Charlo's a bum. Charlo fans think Beterbiev's a Euro bum. You know, you got Gennady Golovkin fans don't think shit about Charlo or Andrade. Same vice versa. Like they don't agree. So what I'm asking is of all these fighters, this is what I want. Okay? I want a pledge. Put your right hand up, dogs. I want a pledge from everybody. Raise your right hand, ladies and gentlemen. And you can pick whoever it is. If it's Beterbiev, and by the way, I don't care about if you don't think he's gonna fight them, you don't see it happening. Grow some balls and give me your pledge that if Canelo fights, whether it's Beterbiev, Bivol, Zurdo, Benavidez, Charlo, Andrade, Triple G, Jake Paul, whoever you pick, okay? And I want you to repeat after me. I want you to take the pledge. This is the Marcus of Queensberry book. It's a sacred book. These are the rules of boxing, all right? I fill in your name.
Calix.
Pledge. That if Canelo beats. Go ahead, whoever.
Artur Beterbiev.
That I will give him all the credit in the world.
That I will give him all credit in the world.
No excuses. And I will join the Saul Canelo movement in giving him credit.
And I will join the Saul Canelo movement and giving him credit.
From this day. To my last day. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, take the pledge. Take the pledge. And I hope y'all did it because you could pick whatever. I'm letting you pick whatever fighter you want.
If you took the pledge, put your hand up in the chat and put next to your hand who the fighter is. All right.
I want to know if y'all had the balls because I keep hearing, oh, well, you're going to fight him. Okay, well, we'll take the pledge then. You know what I mean? Why are you going to fight Beterbiev? I don't think he ain't going to fight. He ain't going to fight Bivol because of the movement. Like, yo, is that all? That's all they say about Bivol too, that he's got movement. Okay, what else he got?
And you have to take this pledge to your last day.
Till this day, to my last day. Okay? Like that's the pledge. And by the way, it only happens if he actually beats the guy you pick.
Mm-hmm. Easy.
Calix, why can't these guys that don't believe in Canelo, right? Like, and they're out there. Why can't they agree on who Canelo needs to fight? It's like, I don't think people realize how impossible it is to please all these people. Mm-hmm. It just is. I see dudes out here that are like, oh, Beterbiev, right? If he fights Beterbiev and beats him, maybe you will give him credit. That's why I want you to take the pledge. You know what I mean? But there's fans out there that won't give him credit.
It's a constant moving of the goalpost. And let's be clear. It's not, I could say I want to see all those fights, but I'm still giving on the front end of that Canelo credit for everything he's done up until this point. Full credit. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the guys who continue to hold back the credit that Canelo clearly deserves. I mean, clearly.
Right.
We see the channels out there and saying he's ducking this guy at 160 and he's going up to fight Makabu in order to duck a Charlo.
He's fighting Makabu.
Or an Andrade. These are the guys we're talking about. So what we're saying is pick one guy. Pick one guy who you want to see him fight next. And he'll likely get to that guy in 2022, by the way, because he wants to fight 3 times. And we know he values belts. He values valuable belts. So if your guy has a valuable belt and brings value to the table, your guy has an even better chance. And look, what makes this so muddy and what allows these guys to get off the hook is with Mayweather, it was clear, right? Like when Mayweather, we wanted to see him fight Pacquiao for how many years? 5?
It was clear.
6? Something like that? So
Dude,
it was
clear.
Maybe this is the guy we want to see you fight.
Cal, there was maybe a 1 or 2 year period where like Mosley was in the mix, like after he beat Margarito, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like literally, like that's it. Okay. And it was clear, like, okay, it's Pacquiao Mayweather. And it was, I'm not saying it was like, it wasn't this spread out. You know what I mean?
No.
And do you know why this is happening? Because Manny Pacquiao was already a fucking legend and had already destroyed Miguel Cotto and De La Hoya, and people remembered that. You know what I mean? And he had beaten Claudia, a really good welterweight as well. So people remembered that. So there was that talk was there. I remember I was here on YouTube. I just remember that.
Now? Who's the legend now between 160 and 175?
And then not to mention what he did before that with Marcus and Barrera, and he already had a legacy set.
Mm-hmm.
None of these dudes got a legacy set, dude.
Mm-mm.
None of them.
The reason they don't have a legacy set is because they're waiting for it to fall in their lap.
That's what it is. They're just waiting for the Canelo payday. And people say, this is what I tell people all the time. These guys got to fight each other. And when I say these guys, I'm including Canelo. I'm not like excluding Canelo, like, no, let me protect Canelo. I don't want Canelo. Oh, Canelo, don't fight nobody, Canelo. Let everybody else fight each other. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying, yeah, Canelo included, they should all fight each other, but that's everybody. Mm-hmm. Not Canelo fight everybody, and these guys just sit and wait. And then I got to hear stupid arguments like, well, you know, heaviest is the hand that holds the crown, right? What about? So sorry, telling me that Charlo doesn't have a crown? He's not a champion? Like none of these dudes are champions or what? Why can't Charlo fight? Every time I ask this question, Calix, like why can't Charlo fight Andrade? Oh, you're trying to protect him from Canelo? Like, no, I'm just asking like a simple question, dude. Well, like everybody should be fighting somebody,
Zurdo, right?
And this is why, because if he does fight Charlo, right, people that like to move the fucking goalposts are going to turn around and say, yeah, but I mean, he struggled against Molina. I mean, who did he really beat though? Like, you know, I mean, he never really beat anybody. Well, if Canelo, if they all wait and don't fight each other, you're going to say that about all Canelo opponents. Well, who did he really beat though? You know, he never fought this guy and that guy. So I think Canelo should have fought him instead. They keep moving the shit around. We're going to get to the questions everybody wants answered if they actually all, including Canelo, fight each other. Canelo can't be the only one fighting champions. Okay? He can't.
And he is right now.
Well, he is. That's true.
He's the only one. But he can't be. And it's the mental gymnastics they do. So they do this thing where they say, Canelo needs to fight this guy, Charlo, Andrade, Bivol, Beterbiev. Okay. They hold Canelo to this standard up here. When Canelo is doing what they want him to do consistently, but they're still mad. But then they hold Charlo, Andrade to a lower standard because these guys aren't fighting champions. But at the same time, they're giving these guys as much credit as Canelo by saying that these guys deserve the fight with Canelo. I don't understand it. I don't get it. What am I missing? I mean, Charlo, Andre, these guys haven't done anything to deserve the fight. Nothing. So I don't want to hear that he's ducking this guy, that guy. Just be lucky and just be fortunate and just be happy if Canelo points in your direction. Just be happy. Even if Canelo is just using you for leverage. Be happy that he's mentioning your name. Because
you could say it again.
And I'm not a Canelo fanboy. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of what he's done in the sport, but I'm not one of these Canelo guys that's going to drag the water for him. I thought he lost the first Golovkin fight. I thought the second one could have went either way. So I call it like I see it. I thought he beat Lara. I thought he beat Trout. Those were all close fights, brother. What's that?
Canelo won both fights, but you know, it's not here nor there. You know,
but no, but those are all close fights.
No, that's the first one to me, draw or either way.
Right, but I just bring it up. I hear you. I just bring it up to say that, to give myself a little credibility that I'm not this Canelo's perfect guy. But at some point, man, you got to give the guy credit for what he's done. What he's done the past 2 years, what he did this year, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I mean, he is the breath of fresh air in boxing right now. He is the only guy that you can say is the pound for pound champion right now. He is lapping everybody. We
have a situation, right, where different guys are like different, so whether YouTubers, people on Twitter, boxing, of all types, right? We have this situation right now where they're all like, they have like a different skewed, like version of the story. You know what I mean? Like, and the motives are just different. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So you have some fans are motivated by like the fact that he could maybe surpass Mayweather, and they're threatened by that. You know what I mean? Some fans are motivated by the fact that, you know, they just don't like Canelo for whatever reason. Some of them are motivated by the fact that maybe they were Gennady Golovkin fans. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like we have different people with different motives here. You know, like they have different reasons why they don't want to kind of just give a clear path or be realistic as to why Canelo is like where he is. They don't want to acknowledge it, bro. You know what I mean? And they each have their own reasons. Like the reasons conflict, right? Like the ones that want to see Beterbiev, like and stuff, aren't exactly the same fan base that want to see him fight Charlo and Andrade. You know what I mean? It's not the same fan base. In fact, those fan bases don't even like the other fighters, right? Like they would call the other end of it like a cherry pick, pretty much. And that's the situation we have right here. So that's why I want the pledge.
And that's why Canelo is almost like the Game of Thrones, where he's battling different
like you got, like for example, so you got like dudes at the wall, like right, they're trying to climb the wall and shit, right? Like the White Walkers, you know what I mean? Like you know, they're over here like, oh, when to stop Canelo, like, you know what I mean? You know, and then you got the dudes, you know, what was the one in the bottom where the sand people are and shit? Dorne, right? You got the dudes over there in Dorne, you know, like they're trying to invade King's Landing, you know what I mean? And then he's under siege outside the King Landing gate, you know what I mean? And then they're plotting over there in Bravo, on whatever it's called, Bravo, is that what it was called? Like they're plotting, you know, another army over there to come at him, right? And then all these armies don't like each other, though. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of like he's like, I hate to say it, but like Queen Cersei a little bit, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. But he wins in the end.
Hopefully he doesn't die in a cave.
Or is he like Jon Snow? I don't know.
Yeah, it could possibly be like Jon Snow. But either way, you got to give him credit up until this point, too. I don't know where he fits historically yet. We're still in the middle of that book. where we have him as the greatest Mexican fighter of all time at this point, I don't know. You're an expert on that, so I don't know where you would have him at this point. I would assume you'd have him
The book's
in your
pretty
top
good right
5.
now, I gotta tell you.
You'd have him in your top 5 Mexican fighters of all time right
Oh
now, right?
shit! Look at this chapter. You haven't even seen the chapter, okay? Where he carries Bridger over his shoulder.
And I'm standing by that, by the way. He will win the Bridgerweight title and get another weight class under his belt. He will win that. There's no doubt about that. He's winning the Bridgerweight title.
Winning it.
And I don't want to take the Canelo pledge. Canelo beats your favorite guy. He beats your guy. You can't complain.
Like pick your dude. Like, you know what? Let me pull up the chat really quick right now. Let me do this really quick. Let me pull it up. All right, so I'm gonna go here. All right. Let me take a look right now.
Look great in retrospect.
So Lennox the GOAT, like who is your dude? Like, you know what I mean? Like who's his dude? Like, who's that guy? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just saying, I want to know who he's gonna. You know what? I want to know who G Funky is gonna pledge.
Yeah. Who is G
like who do you play? I want to know a pledge.
Who is the black sheep?
Like, who are you gonna pick and say, you know what? He beats this guy. I got nothing else to say. You know what I mean? Like, who's that dude? Like, I just want to know who that dude is.
I'm still seeing.
Like, I already know Calix's dude. Like, it's AJ, right? If he beats AJ, then Calix will give him his credit. You know what I mean? Or Anthony Joshua, or that's the same dude, but Fury. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I just want to know. I want to know. Like, I want to know. Even the Canelo fans. Like, you know, who are you going to pledge? Everybody needs to pledge. That's all I'm saying.
Pick your guy. And then give your credit when Canelo beats him, because Canelo will beat him. And I still see a lot of this putting Canelo in against historical fighters and saying, oh, he would have never beaten this guy. He would have never beaten that guy. There still seems to be a lot of Canelo being undervalued. And that's unfortunate.
Here's why guys need to fight each other before we move on to another topic. So, because if a guy gets to a certain point, by circumstance, more so than merit, which is there's a difference.
Caleb Plant.
Like Caleb Plant, for example, right? Or Ndango. All right. Ndango was in the undisputed championship fight. And then what happened? Every time Ndango got beat by somebody, oh, come on, see, Crawford ain't shit. He beat that guy for undisputed. You know what I mean? So now what's going to happen if Plant starts getting a losing streak and he gets knocked out left and right, what's that going to do? I see, what the fuck is this dude that Canelo beat? He ain't nothing, right? But if guys get there by merit, like they already have a resume. They're already beating good dudes. Okay, one, you know their medals tested. So there's not a lot of questions about them, right? And then after your win over them, it actually looks good. The best example I got, and look, I'm not trying to gas you up, Calix, okay? Like, I'm just saying right now, okay? But when Andre Ward beat Carl Froch, okay? Because he was a dude that was battle-tested. We knew Carl Froch was the real deal. So we just knew, you know what? Him winning the Super 6 against Carl Froch is like the real deal. And then what happened? Well, he got in there with Butte and he gave him the Butte. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way it is. And then he went on to, you know, beat Groves after that. And what that do? It just made his win look better. Now, if he would have won a Super 6 against a dude that didn't need to fight everybody else and prove his medal, like just some random guy,
Alan Green or somebody,
Alan Green, and then Alan Green starts losing all his fights, then it's not going to look as prestigious. That's why these guys got to fight each other. Because I already know what you're going to say once they start losing after Canelo beats them.
Oh, he wasn't that good.
He wasn't that good. OEC, that's why he fought him to begin with. And like I'm just saying, man, the shit's ridiculous. Like, I'm just saying.
G Funky pledges Austin Trout.
Damn.
Run PMC.
Lara.
Arislani Lara.
RP Lara. But you know what, G Funky? Yes, winning Super 6 was greatness, but I don't know. I think becoming undisputed and getting all the belts is greater. That's my opinion. You know what I mean? And doing it in a year. Super 6 was like 3 years, bro.
Yeah.
You did it in a year. Like,
and you got to say the bracket opened up for Andre Ward in that He definitely got the most
It
favorable
wasn't his
bracket.
fault, but yeah.
It wasn't his fault, but he got the most favorable draw for sure in the
Come
Super
on, they were
Six.
going to feed him to fucking Jermaine Taylor, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So moving on from Canelo, we got some Spence versus Ugas talk. Let's just get to it. Do you like the fight?
Yeah.
My opinion on it is I like the fight on the surface, Spence versus Ugas.
Mhm.
I think that Ugas is going to test Spence, especially coming off the eye injury, especially being a little rusty. We're going to see early on. What I was impressed with Ugas was he was a heavy underdog against Pacquiao. Pacquiao got old overnight, but he was a heavy underdog. After 4 rounds, he figured out Pacquiao. He figured out the pattern. And he stayed patient. He stayed with his game plan. But at the same time, he kept his foot on the gas. He fought with the same output each round on from 5 through 12. Every
Damn.
time Pacquiao looked like he was going to set a fire, Ugas immediately put it out. Immediately. Ugas also looked good against Porter. Could have went either way. So Ugas is a guy who, he's one of those guys that you just spoke about. He's a guy who has earned it by merit. He's not just a guy with a belt. He has earned it. He's been in there with guys. He won a fight that he was a big underdog against in a couple months ago. And he's going to test Spence. I like this fight because we're going to figure out where Spence is. Is Spence, because the narrative right now is he's flatlined or he maybe even be on a slight decline in his career. If he beats Spence, if he beats him, especially if he beats him impressively, then we have to challenge that narrative. We have to say, you know what? Ugas is a good fighter and Spence beat him. And it adds more intrigue. It also gives him leverage going to the table with a possible Crawford fight. I have 3 belts now. I'm a bigger draw, etc., etc. Here's what I don't like. I don't want it on pay-per-view. Too many pay-per-views. I'm pay-per-view exhausted. And 2022 is looking like a heavy pay-per-view year early on, especially with PBC fights. Don't like that. I also don't like that. Yeah.
All these pay-per-views, bro. Like, what?
I also don't like that Undisputed is going to be held off because I said it in a video a couple months ago. I don't think that Crawford versus Spence is happening in 2022. I think there are too many roadblocks. I've been reading up on it. Spence is going to have mandatories if he wins this fight. You know, in a sane world, those would be swept to the side. The sanctioning bodies would do the right thing. Maybe guys would take some step aside money and let the fight happen. But I just don't see that happening because I don't think the Spence team wants the Crawford fight to happen. I just don't. What do you think about this fight in particular on the surface? And what do you not like about it as a whole?
I'm going to say this, and I don't want to take anything away from Ugas, right? Because I think Ugas is an excellent fighter. I think he's good. I think on any given night, he is capable of beating anybody. That's the type of fight I feel this is. If I were to put some type of projection or percentage on it, I would say like Spence 60, Ugas 40 in terms. So I'm giving Ugas a really good shot, but I will say this. Manny Pacquiao wasn't the same anymore, and everybody knows it. Okay. 42 years old, wasn't as fast, wasn't as quick, like he just wasn't. You know what I mean? And now everyone is allowed to be old except Pacquiao. Apparently Pacquiao is not allowed to be old, right? But he's definitely old. And with that fast twitch style, I think it did play a factor. Now you're right. And I like the way you put it. Like Ugas found a way to put out that fire, right? He just did. Now there's an old saying. Okay, it's from a country song. I ain't as good as I once was, but I am as good once as I ever was. But Ugas just never quite let him do that. You know what I mean? He just didn't. He didn't let him get in a rhythm. And he's like, I know he's old, but I ain't going to let him get in the rhythm. And he did a good job. But now the boxing gods might be looking after Ugas, bro, because Spence came out of a car crash. He looked beatable to me in a Porter fight. Look, fight of the year candidate when it happened. Great fight, but he looked beatable. And then he was in a car crash, and then he beat Danny, but he didn't exactly look that great to me. He just didn't. And Danny just does not have the defense of Ugas. So Ugas isn't hit as hard, but nonetheless, you know what I mean? I think it's a good fight. The only thing I don't like about this fight is that it's not my number one preference. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I want the steak. I'm at a steakhouse and I want like the Crawford like Spence steak. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I want the special, and they're telling me they don't got any, but they got chicken tenders. You know what I mean? Oh, but sir, the chicken tenders are really good, though. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, I'm sure they are, and I'm sure the chicken tenders are going to be good. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy them. You know
But
what
I
I
don't
mean?
want the pork chop.
But I don't want that right now. I just that's not my. I want the steak. You know, and boxing just doesn't give people the fucking steak. You know what I mean? Like they just let it marinate. They're leaving it marinating over there, and it's just it never gets. It makes it on the grill
But
before the expiration date.
here's where I differ. I don't really have a problem with them not giving me the steak this time if I'm promised it the next time. And that's not happening here. There is no like there's no definitive, and we know when that happens, right? We know when the next fight is lining up, and we're just getting another belt under. We want another strap, and we want to make this fight with Crawford undisputed. That's not what's happening here. They're doing Ugas, and it's a good fight. Like said, I like it on the surface. I like pork chop. I don't mind not having steak every
It's
time.
gonna look. It's good. Like, you know what I mean? It's good. You know?
It's good. But if they give me the steak the next time, I'm fine with this consolation prize.
True.
I'm fine with this semifinal here. But it's not a semifinal. This is like a
Yeah, but it's
quarterfinal.
gonna be like because like you could marinate the steak, right?
Uh-huh.
And you know how they say if you marinate it right, it's great, right? But then it does have an expiration date. At some point, it's no longer good for you, bro. You know what I mean? So are we gonna get Crawford Spence? Are we gonna get this like beef jerky now? Is that's what we're gonna get? You know what I mean? Like, we end up with beef jerky by the time they fight.
Remember we
Okay,
were supposed to get
like Khan versus like freaking
Kell Brook.
Brooke.
We were supposed to get Wanma versus Gamboa, and that never happened because guess what? Wanma got knocked out. They let that marinate too much. They let it marinate too many fights. And I just have that feeling that this is like Zab Judah going up against Baldomir before the Mayweather fight. And you're going to have an upset. It has those vibes to it. But if he gets past it, I'm fine with Spence fighting Ugas this time and then Spence fighting Crawford the next time. I'm fine with that. But we're not going to get that. We're going to get a mandatory. And then, oh, by the way, I can't make 147 anymore, so I got to move to 154. And Crawford versus Spence needs to happen at 147 for all the belts. It just adds intrigue to it. I'd still watch it at 154, but do the fight now. Do the fight in 2022, but that's not going to happen.
I know.
And Al Heyman's going to make Terrence Crawford sign a 3-fight deal, I'm sure, in order to get the Spence fight. And he's going to say, hey, you want to fight Spence? Sign a 3-fight deal. And by the way, you get Spence on the 3rd fight. We're going to get something like that. And we're not going to get this fight in 2022. Hell, at this point, we'd be lucky to get it in 2023. So that's my problem with the fight. Otherwise, on the surface, I like the fight. I like Crawford. I mean, I like Spence versus Ugas. I think it's a good fight. I think it's competitive. I think there's value to it being that it's a unification fight. It gets us closer to the end of the story at 147, but
Right.
we know that story is going to drag on, right? It's going to drag on like Game of Thrones and then limp to the finish line.
Well, it's gonna that's exactly. You know what, Calix, like. Isn't boxing like Game of Thrones, like with all the belts and like
Yeah.
fighting for the throne, and then there's always that usurper, like you're not undisputed, like you know what I mean? They have a claim to the throne, and then you know what I mean? Like, oh no, I claimed the belt, no, it's my belt. You know what I mean? Like boxing is like a real life Game of Thrones in a way. You know what I mean? That's what I think. Real life Game of Thrones. Now I do want to say this, dude. Like, at a welterweight, I mean, I know what we're all raving about. Spence's win over Porter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And rightfully so. I mean, Porter's a tough dude to beat, and Crawford knocked out Porter, but it was competitive. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You could argue Ugas beat him, like you can. Like the judges could have given Ugas that win over Porter, bro. Just it's just one of those, like, you're just lucky the judges saw it for you that night, because Spence could have lost that Porter fight just like Ugas did. They would keep it real.
He could have. He certainly could have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we're at with it. I'm fine with the fight on the surface, but when we get complex, when we get further into it, don't like it. Don't like it at all.
Don't get it wrong.
Canelo pledged tonight. I hope everybody pledged. I hope everybody got out there who they want to see him fight next. Right. But we got great stuff going on in the HCP network. Let everybody know where to go next. We got Shoe Shine in the house, right?
That's right, man. In about 2 minutes, the Shoe Shine will be going live. Okay. For some reason, I cannot find their link. I don't know why, but I can't find the link to their show. But I'll just go ahead and post it in the chat anyway, I guess. I can't find it, Dave, if you're there. If you could let us know if you're there. But everyone go to the Shoe Shine Boxing and catch their their podcast there. All right. Should be a good one, man. I mean, they're going to be talking about if Chavez Jr. could be the savior for boxing against Jake Paul. You know what I mean?
And here's the link right here. G Funky shared the link, Shoe Shine. And once I figure it out, I'm going to give you a wrench, Shoe Shine, so you can share your link yourself. But also, I want to respond to this right here. Run PMC, the champion, the boxing trivia champion. It will be returning. Oh, that's the wrong comment there. The trivia will be returning in January, first of the year. It will be returning. The first live podcast of Power Punchers Boxing Trivia will be returning in January. So get ready. And they say that Run PMC is using performance enhancers. They say that Run PMC is using Alexa. What else is he using? Google. I don't see how he's doing that so quick though.
Using Google and Alexa. It's like Trivia's version of cheating. It's like Spygate, bro. It's like Patriots.
Spygate, but everybody has access to it, D-Style, and he's doing it.
You got to do it from the dome, bro. You got to do it from the dome right here. Okay, right here, and Google. Come on, BoxRec.
That's Nando spreading these rumors, by the way. Nando Yamas has been spreading rumors about Run PMC. He wants them tested.
It's not good.
Our guy Run PMC is clean, man, and he is the champion, the back-to-back champion, and it will be back in January. So I appreciate all the love and support, and here's the link right here. Y'all head that way to Shoe Shine Boxing and make sure to check out some more great HCP content. On that note, D-Style, appreciate that. Everybody knows where to reach you at, right? D-Style Boxing on YouTube.
D-Style Boxing, man. Simple as that. You know what I mean? D-Style is the name. HCP is the game. Right?
And keep it boxing.
That's a link, guys.
The Power Hour, too sweet to be sour. We are out. God bless.
HCP.